Hello and welcome to Your Stocks. I'm Nigel D'Souza and with me is Sumaira Abedi. Well, as we speak, in the last 1 hour odd, we have seen a bit of a recovery on the Nifty itself. We have a few stocks that are fighting in there. Bharti Airtel, that stock is putting in a bit of a fight. IndusInd Bank as well was trading in the red. That's done a bit of a U-turn. And Britannia, just take a look at the intraday graph on that stock. It's doing well. It's holding with a gain of closer around 3% approximately. In an otherwise wobbly market, it seems this one is a relative outperformer. But there is some selling clearly because if you're looking at the breadth of the market, well, it's definitely in favor of the declines rather than the number of stocks that are advancing. So the crisscross line should come up for you. And the mid-cap index as well is trading mildly in the red. Hey, Sumaira, good afternoon.
Hi, Nigel. Good afternoon to you as well. So let's get started. First up, our top stories. The market comes off of the lows, but marginally so. Tech heavyweights, ITC and L&T support the market. Mid-caps recover, while banks remain mildly under pressure.
And the Reserve Bank releases fresh norms for the resolution of bad assets. The one-day default rule replaced with 30-day grace period. Bankers say the new guidelines make intercreditor agreement critical to move ahead.
Shares of Kotak Mahindra Bank are under a bit of pressure as the Reserve Bank has imposed a 2 crore rupee fine on the bank for lack of disclosures on promoter stake.
And crude prices bounce overnight on expectations that the OPEC, along with Russia, will extend its supply cuts to boost prices. OMCs take a knock.
And month-end sales boost the headline equity inflow number into mutual funds to a shade under 5,000 crore rupees. Balanced and credit risk funds continue to see outflows. Mid and small cap funds find favor with investors. So those are our top stories. Let's invite Gaurang Shah and Prakash Gaba to answer all our stock-related queries in Your Stocks. Gentlemen, good afternoon to both of you. Our first query comes in from Mr. Abdul Wasim, who's on the line with us from Chennai. Mr. Wasim, good afternoon, sir. How can we help you?
Very good afternoon. Yeah, see, the thing is that I am holding about 400 shares of Sterlite Technologies at the price of 250 for the last 6 months. I can still hold for another 3 to 4 months' time, but I just want to know what is the outlook, whether I can still hold or just to come out like that.
But definitely, you would say your view is shorter than 1 year?
Yeah, maximum, because I'm already holding for the last 6 to 7 months. Another 3 to 4 months I can hold it, not a problem.
Okay, Prakash, first to you on Sterlite Tech, for somebody who can only hold on for another 3 odd months and is losing money, what should the strategy be?
See, when I look at the Sterlite Technology, it is a weak chart. One. Number two, the bounce that I have seen is a good bounce, and it's a massive bounce. So very good chance that the low that we have seen in recent term could hold. So best thing is to have a stop loss of 150 and continue holding it. The problem is 3 to 4 months. I think the gentleman is running out of patience. Don't worry about the patience part of it. You got to make money. The patience is going to cost you money. Not worth it. Better to hold on. I think if it turns around from here, then it can go to around 240 zones, closer to where your price is. There you can take a call. But I would do that.
Okay, all right. Well, that's the call coming in on Sterlite, but I think the markets are calling for our attention now. Pull up the intraday chart of the Nifty. Just around 3 or 4 minutes back, we were up 30 points. Pull up the intraday chart on the Nifty itself. We've almost moved into the red. I think there was an announcement on the BSE just around half hour ago in terms of invocation of shares on Z Entertainment. Now, if you're looking at that announcement, it appeared that that it was more negative than positive. So that stock suddenly is moved lower. But it's not just Z Entertainment. You have Kotak Mahindra Bank as well that's suddenly seen a sharp downtick. And I think HDFC, that's one of the larger weights on the index. That's come in for some selling. So the Nifty Bank very, very swiftly has suddenly slipped closer around 70 to around 80 points, courtesy ICICI Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, as well as HDFC Bank. Clearly some big selling coming in just in the last 4 minutes odd. And if you're looking at non-banking stocks from the Nifty itself that have seen some selling in the last few minutes, well, you have BPCL that's moved lower. And Yes Bank, problems continue out there. Joining the list is Tata Motors as well as we speak. Barely holding in the green, Sumaira, as we speak.
All right, so with that, there's some news flow also coming to at the bottom of your screen. Sources tell us that the government is aiming to broadly stick to the tax estimates that were given in the interim budget for the upcoming budget. Sapna Das, our correspondent, joins in with the details. Hi, Sapna, what more can you tell us?
Well, so a lot has been written on this subject, because the way the FY19 targets were missed, it created a lot of uncertainty, and which to an extent still remains, as your nominal growth rates of GDP have also not really kept pace with the kind of expectation that was projected. Anyway, cutting to chase, the point here is short and simple. At this stage, the government is very unlikely to cut any of the tax targets which it had set out in the interim budget. If you recall, direct taxes had a target of 13.80 lakh crores, which is, talking of a 25% growth in tax estimates for the tall order. And if you look at your indirect taxes also, despite the lowering of the CGST number substantially, the growth rate, the asking run rate is quite high. 110 a month is what you need to remain on course. So basically the Revenue Department, in the presentation that was made to the Finance Minister sometime last weekend, have made a very clear case, that probably these numbers are slightly impractical at the moment, and some downward revision is necessitated. However, looking at the fact that, once you move down such a critical number like your tax target, then what happens to the remaining fiscal numbers? Your FD target is already set at 3.4. Your expenditure is already almost at 28 lakh crore for FY20. At this stage in time, the government cannot afford to cut expenditure any further. So keeping all of that in mind, most likely they're going to go ahead with the tax numbers set out in the interim budget. A reassessment, as happens every year, will start on sometime after November, but the revised estimates start getting worked up for the Feb 1 budget. So at that point in time, a call will be taken, a deeper call will be taken as to what needs to be done. You will also have a trajectory for the 6 months of the financial year, so they will know where they stand. So as of now, no cutting in tax targets, because the expenditure pace also has to be kept in mind, and let's see how it goes ahead. As of now, they are saying that they are sticking to 3.4% FD target, but I suppose work on that, actually the numbers will start getting crunched sometime after 18th or 28th June.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much, Sapna, for joining in and giving us all those details. Well, let's move on then. We have Mr. Hitendra, who's calling us from Ahmedabad. He has a query, I believe, and some investments in DHFL. Hi, sir. Good afternoon. How can we help you?
Good afternoon. I have a DHFL which I bought about 2 years back, and I bought it at around 358 odd levels. So I just wanted to know, recently the stock has got a lot of beating. So I just wanted to know if I can hold, or is it time for me to bite the bullet and go ahead?
Okay, all right. Hitendra, sometimes it doesn't work according to plan, but let's see whether or not we can salvage something from this particular trade. Gaurang, coming across to you first, what would your advice be on DHFL? Should he be looking at being adventurous, averaging at these levels, or do you believe that you have a better option for him from the same space?
Yes, Nigel, good afternoon to all of you all. So if you bought DLF 2 years back, then I think you had plenty of opportunity to sell the stock at profit, and I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong. Maybe Prakash can also throw some light. I think the stock was at 500 rupees or above in the last 2 years, and then of course because of that scare of default and of course a little bit of governance issue, we had the stock correcting. Now there are two parts. Firstly, we also had a coverage on DHFL, but we dropped it some time back, Nigel, because of the concerns that we had, and of course a lack of clarity. I would definitely not advise on either holding or averaging, since we have dropped the coverage. But just in case, if you can book the kind of loss, or if Prakash has some kind of pullback levels on the higher side, I would prefer an LIC Housing Finance as an alternative investment. But let me advise this gentleman one more thing. If you bought it at 350, 360, why did you wait for it to come to 90? I mean, there were plenty of opportunity given to you and lot of news flows on the negative side in the public domain, Nigel, to take appropriate steps. So, I mean, we have dropped the coverage, and LIC Housing Finance would be the preferred choice.
Okay, all right. Then that's the view coming in on DHFL. What's your view, Prakash?
Basic structure of Diwan Housing Finance is weak. A, it's trading at new lows, seen a new low recently. So when a stock trades at a new low, we normally say that don't put a floor underneath. We can never say how low it goes. No low is low. It keeps going down lower. There is news flow is bad. In the morning, I think someone was speaking about, the banks were speaking of that maybe there's a change of management. Who knows? We have no idea what's going to happen. The problem is bought at 350. You should have been out at a particular stop loss. Yeah. But the problem, gentlemen, with you is that you had a hope in you that it will come. Even this today, I think you're thinking of salvaging money. Yes, you can salvage money, 100%. Believe it or not, just exit.
All right, exit, and I guess it's a unanimous call there. But up next, Chandraveer Singh has written to us from Uttarakhand. He has 350 shares of Sun Pharma, which he has bought at 642 rupees. So that's a big loss there. A long-term investor and wants to know what to do. Gaurang, Sun has just too many issues, I guess, for a retail investor to be able to stomach. And on top of that, there is, of course, this overarching FDA concerns, which are for pretty much every pharma company. For somebody who's making a big loss, should they still get out and invest elsewhere? Or do you think there is hope that he could recover at least some of his money?
Yes, Sumera. So, it looks like the sun never rises on Sun Pharma. And unfortunately, for the last 2 or 3 years, there has been this terrible underperformance, and along with that, Sumera, the news flow on the negative side just doesn't seem to stop for Sun Pharmaceuticals. So there are two options. One is you hold on and average at current levels given the elevated price of 640 where you invested and the current market price of close to about 390, 395. Average only if you have a 3-year plus time horizon. And that's the recommendation we have for Sun Pharma on the fundamental side. But just in case if you don't have that kind of a longest time horizon, or if you don't have the capital to average, then possibly use pullbacks to lighten up. Maybe get into something like an ICICI Bank. Maybe that particular alternative investment idea can recoup the losses that you are making. Otherwise, change the time horizon to 3 years and average at current levels.
Okay, all right. So maybe a bit of a switch to ICICI Bank. That's something that Gaurang would advise as well. By the way, keep an eye on select stocks in the broader markets. You have IDFC. Pull up the intraday chart out there. The stock was trading in the green not very long ago. Stock has moved into the red. Tata Power as well has come in for some selling. So keep an eye out on that one. But the broader markets, there is some pain out there. The mid-cap index still trading in the red. Slip into a short break, come back. We'll continue focusing on stocks and we'll answer all your queries.